There are 5 million words worth of New Hampshire state law. It needs to be taken off the books.
This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by
freedombookclub.com.
Well, that's how it started. My promised campaign of civil disobedience, which began in the spring of '08 and went through the summer of '09. I promised to continue openly breaking bad laws, essentially until arrested. It took roughly 8 tries. I started with what they call outlaw puppeteering. Technically, it's illegal in New Hampshire to give a puppet show for profit without a license. I continued the puppet show, the illegal puppet show, in different parts of the state and added other illegal acts to each show. I cleaned litter from a Manchester park before 6 a.m. I put a substance other than milk in a milk container. I hired homeless people for slightly under minimum wage and ordered them to sit in comfy chairs. To their credit, authorities ignored all these deeds, but
I'm going to ask you to put it down for me.
I'm going to respectfully decline. I am audio taping at this time.
they didn't ignore this one, refusing to turn my camera off in the Keene District Court lobby. The state of New Hampshire charged me with disorderly conduct, changed the charge to contempt of court, and ordered me to pay a $250 fine. Having successfully been arrested, I suggested converting the fine to community service, which I was happy to perform as my penalty, in the interests of protecting taxpayers from expense. Judge Edward Burke of Keene rejected that suggestion, and since I was refusing to pay the fine, the $250 fine was converted to a 6-day prison sentence. Jail sentence, I guess I should say.
I'm about to go in. Activists keep arriving. I don't have a count, so I'll just take a picture of the whole group.
They can arrest him for not stepping inside.
Where's Sam? Where's Sam?
Hey, down.
How are you?
Take care of him, guys.
I'm here to clean up your jail.
On July 6, 2009, I report to the Cheshire County Department of Corrections to begin my vacation. And that's where the parts you don't know about yet begin. Folks have requested that I recount my experience inside the facility, and I will now do that. The guards you see in this video politely take me through the kitchen area of the jail and into a processing area. They know exactly who I am and know from memory how long I am to remain under their bondage.
Turn my camera off. Okay, now they've got something for me.
Friends, of course, as a joke, have handed me a bottle of bleach and suggested that I take it into the jail and try to use it to help clean up the jail. Well, the bleach is immediately confiscated, and I am given my first chance to refuse a request for information. As some of you may be aware, the approach I take when I go into jail, and I've actually only done it once before, but the approach I take is to basically cooperate with any requests that that I walk here, walk there, put my hands behind my back. I don't resist any of that. No physical resistance, and no going limp or any of that. But I do refuse to answer about 2/3 of the questions that they ask. I like to talk to the cops. I like to be nice to them. I don't have anything against them personally. But I tell them I'm just not going to answer most of their questions as a protest against their jailing of victimless criminals. A guard asks me if I have anything in my pockets, and I decline to answer. That's the first question anyone asks me in the building. With latex gloves on, they begin going through my pockets themselves. They are very meticulous in making sure that they keep track of everything so I can get it back. They are amused by the bleach. One guard, more than any other, seems to be in charge of my processing. I forget his name, but I believe it is McLaughlin. We'll just call him that until I can figure out better. When I begin declining to answer questions, I basically say, I respectfully decline to answer that, and I give him the reason why. He begins shuttling back and forth to a sort of control room. I guess he's conferring with his superiors as to how to handle this. He goes to great lengths to explain to me why they ask these questions. He tells me, among other things, we ask, this for your safety. For instance, he wants a number where someone can be reached if anything happens to me. Actually, this is one piece of information I would be happy to give him, but I didn't have anyone's permission to give the number out. So I didn't give a number out, and I said, and no matter what happens to me, if I'm harmed here, or if I die here, then I become a martyr, and that would be good for freedom. Not that I really expected anything like that to happen in such a short period of time. But it's not a particularly uncommon occurrence. There was a man who died in that jail just a month earlier. He was only 33. And I personally believe he would not be dead if he were not in the jail. Now, I am initially detained in what most folks call the drunk tank. It's part of what they call the bubble. The drunk tank does not appear particularly inhumane. It has soft, washable floors that do not necessarily appear to be dirty, but they're very black, so it's hard to tell. If I recall correctly, I think I had time in the drunk tank to scrawl freekeen.com on the walls with my fingernails. Well, I'm not sure it was very legible. A guard approaches the drunk tank and asks me if there is anything I need, if I'm doing okay. I said, well, you could let me go if you want, and he just laughs. The guard who processes me seems almost apologetic as he is doing this, but in an apologetic sort of way, he seems to also threaten me. When I decline to give a middle name, he says that it's possible, based on what happened to Sam, that I could be punished in a manner similar to how Sam was punished. Sam, of course, was kept in the jail for almost 58 days. Well, I guess it was 58 days. He was, of course, arrested for roughly the same thing, videotaping in the court lobby. My response to him is to say, quote, I have peace, unquote. Other than this threat of sorts, authorities seem to have learned their lesson from Sam. What you resist persists. It seems they try to avoid doing anything confrontational with me. This is very different from my experience at Essex Jail in Massachusetts, where I was confined 4 days for distribution of handbills. This was a quote-unquote crime that happened at an IRS office in Nashua, New Hampshire, but I was confined in Essex, Massachusetts, because it was a federal charge and they shipped me down there. Anyway, the Essex experience was quite a bit more harrowing than the Cheshire County experience. And that Cheshire County experience will be related in more detail in the next installment of this series. Does Oprah Winfrey's book club make you spew gnarly chunks? Wouldn't it be cool to have a pro-freedom book on the bestseller lists? FreedomBookClub.com invites you to participate in choosing the book of the month. Visit their website, choose from 4 finalists, then purchase their book of the month. FreedomBookClub.com. Making freedom a bestseller.